Welcome to Level Up with CMJ. Hey, my name is Joe, and this is my Craps Master dice shooting journey. Let's make it yours too. We are here with Coach Joe from Chicagoland area. Nice to meet you, Joe. You stopped up for the day. We're going to do an interview here and maybe some dice throwing. And then after we're done here, we're going to probably take a trip up to Green Bay, and we're going to test the tables out at the Oneida Bingo and Casino complex up there, which is actually one of the biggest in Wisconsin here. It's a little bit smaller than the Milwaukee, the Potawatomi and that. So I don't know if you've ever been there, have you?
Never been there, okay. But I want to see you throw, so let's do it.
Be careful what you wish for there. But anyhow, hey, Joe, I was introduced to you back in June. It came down to Joliet. We did a little throwing session down there. We had Sith Lord SB Corey that was down there. Alfredo was down there. Rich, his Corey's partner, throwing partner, and a whole host of other people. We had Giuseppe, a whole bunch of different people. And about midday through the session, you came up to me, and you're kind of a little timid at first, a little bit, and you're like, hey, I watched your channel. My name's Coach Joe. I have my own YouTube channel, which, guys, if you look on the left side there, it's 10 Minutes with Coach Joe. You do a computer programming channel, I believe, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And you said you're new to the craps game.
Correct, yes.
Do explain, please.
So Corey and my son and Rich, they all bowl together on a team. So my son comes home, he chit-chats about bowling, he chit-chats about craps. Corey has a table in his garage.
Okay, and he just got that recently, right?
I do not know when, but probably yes. Okay. So nonetheless, I went over to go check it out, and I'm throwing dice and not doing so hot. But I'm throwing dice and having fun. Gambling is gambling. I love it. And Corey's like, you need to go check out Crap Master Joe's channel. He's got this belt level. He'll start you at the beginning and teach you the difference between a cube and a sphere, and he'll work you all the way up to throwing the dice using your mind. You got to check out his channel.
Okay.
So nonetheless,
I'm scared here.
So I started out with the white belt level, and then I'm working my way up. So the white belt level was relatively easy. It was just about setting the dice and everything. And I hope my wife hasn't found the channel yet, but she doesn't know 6 and 1 equals 7, and they're on opposite ends.
Sure.
So that part was
most people don't know that. They really don't. But that's a skill that a person should learn as they are learning how to throw the dice.
And doing it quickly was one of the key points of the white belt. So dice setting and knowing how to manipulate them really quick with one hand, very important. Moved on to the yellow belt. The yellow belt is about gripping the dice and throwing them. And it's just, you would think it's easy, but it's not. But it's like a 5 or a 10 day process. And you had a couple of achievements and goals to shoot for, relatively easy for anybody to pick up.
Okay. And you know how I learned how to grip the dice?
How's that?
I brought him to work with me one night, and I just did for 8 hours straight, just gripped it. And that's how I got the Yuri grip style down. Because I have a hard time throwing the dice with a power grip. My fingers are so fat that they hang off the edges of the dice and they split apart, and so I wanted that Yuri style, and that's how I learned how to do the Yuri grip. Is for 8 hours one night at work, I just picked them up, set them down, picked them up, set them down. So continue with your journey.
Yeah. So then I moved on to the orange belt, and right about the orange belt is when I started to watch your show live on a daily basis. Okay. So you're like at the purple belt. I'm just before the brown belt. Okay. That's when I started.
When you started. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And you had talked about the Yuri grip and the fat fingers and everything else, and I began to change dice grips.
Okay.
So the orange belt is supposed to take 10 days to accomplish the goals and everything. And I spent probably 5 weeks.
Sure.
And I changed my grip every week. And I started to get the orange belt down. I don't like that grip. Let me move on and do something else. So
see, that's one of the nice things about the program here, Joe, is that first of all, I've never had any formal training. Everything that I learn, everything that I know is stuff that I've learned actually by doing or by watching other people and then trying to, kind of like Cashier's Cage does. He saw how to throw the dice, and this is on Ed from Roll the Winds video last week. He saw how to throw the dice. A gentleman showed him how to do it, and he brought it home and just picked it apart. and analyzed it and tried to make it his own, if you will. And that's kind of what I did, and that's what I hear you doing as well. You know, and that's the best way to do it, guys. Throwing the dice is not set in stone. It's what you make of it.
The biggest thing I've learned is your way doesn't work for me.
Sure.
But I have to take bits and pieces of you, bits and pieces of you, add it into me.
Sure.
And that's what I've been doing. So the orange belt level, I was trying to figure out where I need to throw, what I need to throw, how I need to throw. So let's talk about the orange belt, shall we?
Okay, sure.
I got one mini complaint about the orange belt, the high jump bar.
Okay.
Okay, I think the high jump bar is too high, and I would like to know more about your reasoning behind it.
Okay.
And I tended to like not do that section of the orange belt.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Remember, the high jump bar is a tool that you can use to learn how to throw the dice. Okay. Every tool that I have in a program is not necessarily a tool that you have to use. It's just something that I have found that has helped me along my journey. Okay. The idea behind the high jump bar, and if you guys don't know what it is, if you go back to my videos, it says this is how or build this. That's the two thumbnails that I have for that. The reason for the high jump bar originally was so I could throw the dice, it'll hit an apex and come down at the least amount of energy at the end of the table. Because obviously once you hit the back wall, and everybody says it, guys, once you hit the back wall, those dice are randomized. Okay, so my goal is to hit the back wall with the least amount of energy in the dice to help minimize that randomization at the end. Okay, and what I found the high jump high bar, and if you guys, it's all it is two dowels with a string across that we're trying to clear that string. What I found is that I can visually see now, and I can actually physically feel the energy in the dice as I'm throwing it from using that bar. Okay, I will tell you, and I'll be completely honest with you right now, because this is all about transparency, everyone. I don't throw nearly as high as what that string is anymore. Okay, but what I did get from that tool is I know what to look for in dice from that energy level. Okay, so and there's different ways that you can adjust the energy levels in the dice. You know, how hard or how fast or flying or whatever. One is the speed of how you're throwing it. So how fast are the dice traveling through the air? How much power or strength you're throwing into the throw. And also the type of style of table that you have. If you have a bouncy table, they're going to obviously have a little more energy than if you have a harder table. They'll, in my opinion, they'll tend to stick more to the table. And when we get to Green Bay up on Oneida, they have a lot harder of a table than what I do here. Probably not as hard as John has in Seattle with that plexiglass top, but it's going to be similar. Okay. You kind of practice on my table a little bit here, and it's a semi-bouncy table, is it not?
It bounces around, yeah.
As you know, so, and that's a lot of it. If I redid the underlayment, it would be different going forward. But you know, that's kind of the theory behind that high bar. Okay.
The only thing I take advantage with that high jump bar is if I throw from the back of the table. I do get them higher.
Okay.
And I've noticed that if I can drop it at that closer to the apex angle, I do see the energy dissipate. I can get them to drop and stop at the back of the table.
Okay.
I wish I could do it every time, but I do see value in that.
And that's where practice comes from, is trying to replicate what you're doing and what you see successfully done on a regular basis. And just so everybody knows in the chat, we're going to be coming back to the chats. I really can't see that far to the end of the table right now, the chats that are coming up. I'm an old guy. I have cheaters here. So I actually have to be in front of the television. So I will come back to it. So please put chats in. If you guys have questions, we will try to answer them as we go through. The intention of this video today is going to be going through an interview style, but we're going to probably get into throwing the dice a little bit in a little bit. But now, before we started here, you told me a little story about Corey and about dropping the dice in. Do you want to elaborate on that? Do you remember you're talking about Corey, about how you can hit different targets and stuff?
Yeah. Well, I'm in the green belt, so this is what I'm working on, and ultimately, as soon as we start to throw, I want you to quiz me and test me on
Okay.
this.
Okay.
Let me go back to the orange belt. One
Sure.
last thing. The orange belt didn't have something that may have been assumed or inferred,
Okay.
and that is the ability to keep both dice together through the air. You never made it a goal. You never really preached or talked about it as much as I think you probably should have.
Okay.
And that's one suggestion for anyone who's throwing the dice and you make it to the orange belt level. Keep the dice together is very important, because I watch all of the YouTubers out there throwing dice, and you. The dice are together. You just never said to do it.
Okay.
And that's why when I kept changing my grip, the dice were always one higher than the other, one farther than the other. It took me forever to figure out how to keep them what I call synchronized.
Okay. Okay. Now, there's a couple different theories of thought on this. One thing I didn't mention because honestly I didn't think about it until you brought it up right now. Okay, so that is the honest truth. Again, we're all about transparency here, guys. But there's a couple of theories of thought. If you use your par style toss, you want to keep them together. So that way, the ultimate goal is so they actually, let me grab some dice here, so they actually land flat and then bounce into the back wall. Okay. You know, how many times are you going to get like that? Who knows? I mean, just practice is going to tell you, okay? Some theory of thought is if they land tight together like this, that's actually a bad thing. Because what'll happen is they'll land and they'll split off.
Right.
And you'll have a rolling of the dice. Or they'll hit that point at the end on the alligator and roll off, okay? So
I like to keep them a dice width apart.
okay.
That's kind of what I'm shooting for.
Sure.
And obviously in the chat, where would you guys have the separation of the dice is always going to be a hotly debated topic. But
Sure.
this was my goal, and changing the grip allowed me to get them together, because sometimes they were too high, sometimes they were too far apart, or obviously the dreaded G.
This one, so why don't you go in there? I'm going to change the view on the table once, and you can kind of demonstrate that really quick here.
Let's do that. Let's also do
Guessing that this is going to be my view here. Yes, okay, there you go.
let's also do a quick practice too.
Okay.
I'm gonna put a couple of chips on the don't pass.
Right now we have just the stuff up there.
I'm sorry.
That's no problem. So if you want to show what you're talking about with the dice landing together.
So I want them to be synchronized. They're the same height and they're the same distance down.
Test, 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 test. Oh, let me switch over really quick here. Test, test, test. Oh, it is going. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
No worries. So I don't want the dice to be leading one another.
Okay.
I don't want the dice to be one higher than the other,
Okay.
because they're going to land and do crazy things. So what I've been practicing, let's get it out to 7 too.
Okay.
So I wanted them to be together. This is what I practiced. So with whatever grip I had, they had to leave my hand synchronized. And also the same thing with, the V split, either way.
Sure.
So this was my motivation for the orange belt until I could get them synchronized plus all of your goals. That's why I spent 5 weeks.
Sure. And I see in the chat here, guys, Ed put in there's a difference between synchronization and flying together. And again, remember, guys, this is all about a journey that we can all travel together. So, Ed, in the chat, put what you mean by that.
Yeah.
What the difference is between synchronization and flying together, and what your definition of the difference is, because I am curious to see the answer. Again, I am learning as I go. This is all about our journey and trying to improve as we go. Obviously, to become a craps master eventually, if that's even possible.
Right.
But anyhow.
And my definition is flying together might be a better term. I don't want them identical together.
Okay.
I want them flying together.
Sure.
Which means one is not leading, one is not higher.
And I use, if you want to throw that down there once, guys, in the video system, I use a target. Slide it back a little bit right where the dice are at, actually.
Oh.
So move the dice, okay? Put that over the top there. And I use targets in there, guys. So when we're practicing, my goal was to hit a target, and that's a 3-inch target right there. It might look a little bit bigger on your screen or a little bit smaller depending on which device you're viewing. But that's a 3-inch target, and my goal in the system, in the belt levels, was to start at a bigger target and gradually work your target down so you can get used to throwing into a general area and more specific area as you went. So let's go back to our other view here, our interview stand. So if you want to have a seat there, we'll continue on with our conversation, Nat. So you're at the orange belt level now, and then you're moving up.
So I completed the orange belt level because I got the dice to fly together.
Okay.
I'm very happy with what's going on. I did take bits and pieces of many different YouTube dice throwers.
Okay.
And put them all together.
Are there anybody you want to give accolades to? That's not a problem.
It's kind of difficult to give credit to one thing because just because I saw it on your channel doesn't mean you invented it. But watching all of these channels, I found bits and pieces that ended up working.
I can give some whatever term I use.
Credit.
I can give some credit to some people that I've picked little things up from. Obviously, George from CUI has been a huge influence on me because I'm using a lot of his information. But Ed from Roll the Win, who's in the chat right now, I've used a few of his things. One of the biggest things that I've learned from Ed is when you are setting up the dice, a lot of people do a backswing. Ed goes right from the deck and eliminates that backswing. So that's something I picked up from him. Arnell, who's not known to be a big shooter, even though he is a good shooter. I picked up my barrel dice theory from him. So there's several people out in the community that have little good nuggets of gold, if you will, that you can draw from. And that's kind of where you're going with this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's continue on with your journey here.
Barrel dice.
Okay.
You had the barrel dice in...
What is a barrel dice, by the way?
It's.
I'll go get a set here so you can show your own version. You actually brought your own barrel dice with you to practice. And here's your set of barrel dice.
So these dice are taped together.
Okay, well, just two-sided tape?
Just regular Scotch tape that you'd wrap a Christmas present with.
Okay, and that's what I showed you how to do in the video, right?
Did that, and I will throw them, and after about 100 throws, the tape will break, and I got to redo it. So I'll razor the tape off and re-stick it back on, but I will throw this dice 10 times every day.
Okay.
From a position on the table.
Why?
So that I can learn how to throw them so that they are level through the air.
Okay.
So if it flies through the air crooked like this and lands, that doesn't count. That I got to do it 10 times perfect.
Do you see when you throw that, that they kind of look like a duck going through the air when they're not?
If it's a duck, it doesn't count. It's got to fly perfectly, level, and it can't be pitched one in front of the other.
Okay.
So this is how I can practice to improve at least that portion of the release, because there's 10, 50 different contributing factors to the release, but I want to at least throw them level, and I practice 10 times a day, stick right one, stick left one, 14 feet away from the back of the table.
Okay. I don't remember in my videos if I said this when I had done those videos, but there was a gentleman in my past, and I used to, for those of you who don't know, I used to be in the health and fitness industry. I used to own my own health club. And there was a gentleman that was a member there. He was a world champion, senior world champion, eskrima fighter, which is a form of stick fighting. Okay. And he would come in my health club. He'd go in the aerobics room in front of the mirrors and he'd practice his drills and his forms and all that type of stuff. And one of the things he taught me was if he could do something 20 times in a row perfect, it'll become a habit. And if he would get to time 17 or 18, he'd start all the way over in the beginning. So he can get it to do 20 times in a row. And this is kind of what we talk about in the dice throwing community, is about muscle memory. If you could do something perfect, a certain amount of times in a row, it should hopefully become part of muscle memory. So when you get to the casino, you don't have to worry about it as much, because there's lots of other distractions besides, not to mention the nerves of throwing the dice at the table to get to you. So hopefully you can fall back on the muscle memory. But that also goes on the flip side. You can also learn bad habits as well.
Yes.
Okay, so, and it's going to be a lot harder to unlearn that. So continue on. If anything else about the barrel dice?
So with the barrel dice, I'll put 10 chips on the don't pass. If I throw it right, I move a chip to the pass line.
Okay.
And that's how I count my 10.
Okay.
Initially, when I was starting this, I would throw 20, 30 times to move 10 chips.
Okay.
I'm getting to the point where I can do it in 15 throws.
Wow.
So it's my gauge of improvement. And then I work my way around the table, and I'll try to focus on a couple of key areas for the week, which table position, but nonetheless, this is what I do as part of my practice. Then I move to real dice.
Okay, so you're training at different positions right now.
Yes.
I was told that you primarily throw from the end of the table. Why is that?
So if I go to the casino with Rich, Corey, yourself, I'll never be stick left one. Arnell's got stick right one or two. I'll never get there. My job is to be the guy at the back of the table, not playing the pass line.
Okay.
You guys need a clean landing zone. I just clear it out.
Okay.
So if I ever get a chance to throw, I'm only going to throw from 14 feet away.
Sure.
So-
and just so you guys know, he plays normally in Joliet area where they do have the 14-foot tables. In Green Bay, we're gonna have a 12-foot table.
Okay.
So it's gonna be the same size as. Actually, it's a couple inches shorter than what my table is.
Okay.
Mine, I think, is about 12.6. I think the table that I have built somewhere around that area. Up there is gonna be a true 12 feet, so it's another
Awesome.
6 inches shorter.
Yes. So I practice from there only because other shooters that are better will take those premier positions.
Okay.
So then part of my practice also is I go over to Corey's house. He's got a table in his garage, and I've been throwing from the back of the table.
Now, how does his table compare to the one at Joliet? Is it?
It's softer.
It's softer.
It's
okay.
more forgiving.
What about the height of the table? Because
Everything is the same.
okay,
Yeah.
I find that my table is a little bit higher than the Joliet table. As far as the rail goes, it's going to be definitely higher than the Green Bay table that we go to. It's going to be the Green Bay table is about 3 to 4 inches shorter. And I remember saw on Ed's live last night. They were talking about table dimensions and that type of stuff with Cashier's Cages talking about that and a variety of other people. So every table does vary, from there. But
I'll be honest, I've only been at a table less than 10 times. So
Okay.
I wouldn't even know
okay,
a half-inch difference in a table. And I might
you'll
not
notice a difference today.
I might not notice even 12 or 14, but nonetheless, I'm practicing. So with Corey, though, I'm throwing from the back of the table, and he started to notice that I'm dropping it at the back of the table with better accuracy, the green belt and that target
Okay.
to hit. I'm getting way better at it, and I figured out the landing zone on his table. And he was a bit impressed. He's starting to practice from the back of the table
Okay.
and trying to replicate what I'm doing while I'm trying to replicate his stick right or
Now,
stick
when I
left
was
shooting.
down in Joliet, I didn't see Corey shoot from the end of the table, but I saw Rich shoot from the end of the table. And Rich had a Monster Rose in the 40s, maybe even more than that. I didn't count at all. But it was definitely in the 40s, and we all made some decent money off of that. And he was in that at the 14-foot, right at the end of the hook. So he was on the actual end of the table, and he did really well. And if you guys know Rich is about 5'2", 5'3". He's not a very big guy. He stands on his tippy toes when he
He
throws.
has a gift to throw the dice soft as an egg. The dice are foam. I don't know how he does it, but nonetheless, he repeats it all the time. So.
Sure. So we're going to get back into that target thing. I'm going to quiz you a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's continue on the journey. We got another 5 or so minutes of talking about your journey.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to throwing the dice here a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, so ultimately, it took me forever to get a good grip inside that orange belt. I've moved on to the green belt. That's where I am today.
Okay.
And one of the biggest things you preach in the green belt is repeat everything that you've learned in the previous belts, but now you've got to learn landing zones.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why I'll be here going to Green Bay with you. You can educate me off camera, but if I can hit a 3-inch landing zone, and then I can move that landing zone around and identify at this table, at this stick position, this is where I need to be. This is the hardest thing that I have to learn. And I appreciate everybody out there who gives input on the different types of tables, the different distances, tips and tricks that they've learned. Even at a specific table, you mentioned earlier, there's a particular spot. If you hit here, it's death.
Yeah.
But you want to hit somewhere around that spot. Learning those tables is a key portion of this journey.
Sure. And that's one of the criticisms that everybody has about us with tables at home, about how we could throw really well at home, but once we go to the casino, it doesn't always translate over here because every table is different. There's a different surface to it. There's different hot spots, soft spots, landing spots or whatever. But the goal of the level up program here, guys, is to try to make your throws mechanical. So that way you know what you're looking for. It's more about touch and feel. Again, I keep on bringing up Cashier Cage. He said this in the interview the other night. He actually knows if his throws can be good or not based off of his grip on the dice.
Right.
And I actually fully agree with that. Some people,
No good.
and I can't do that throw, but some people actually know better by the throw. And I can feel that I just have some like sixth sense. When I grip the dice, I know if it's going to be good or bad. And you always hear me repeat, I should regrip it, and teach myself to regrip it. And I don't always do that. I forgot where I was going with this. But anyhow, every table is different. They have different landing zones. You're going to have to kind of play around with it. I find, and this is not going to be the same for everybody, but I find for my toss, for my throw, if I can get within 3 inches of that back wall, I'm going to have it come up and hopefully hit either the bottom of that first row and have it come off, and I have a better chance at minimizing that random.
Because it'll bounce down instead of.
Correct.
Yep.
And what'll happen is a lot of times it'll hit the back wall and then it'll stick, and it doesn't randomize as much. Okay, you're going to see that some of the YouTubers on YouTube that have their own tables, their landing zones are all beat up, and this is from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of throws. Mine is not beat up. I still do hundreds of throws, and I think mine's not beat up as much because of the padding that I have underneath it. It helps minimize the wear and tear on the layout. But every table is different. You guys are going to have to kind of experiment around, and that's kind of where you're at in your journey, is experimenting around and working with that.
So I'm learning where to hit a particular spot.
Okay.
And I actually, at home, I don't have a 3-inch circle.
Okay.
I have a 1/2-inch square.
Oh, okay.
1/2 inch.
Well, if you can hit that from 14 feet away, that's pretty darn good.
One of the dice has to be within an inch. I have to be a dice width away from that 1/2 inch. But nonetheless, this is the level of precision I'm aiming for.
Okay.
And
I had circles that I had made in one of my videos, and all this is just remnants of my table layout. I had a little bit extra, and I just put I believe it was a jar cover on top of this.
Yeah.
I circled it out and just cut it out in that. But let's get to throwing the dice here. Take a couple seconds, you guys, to rearrange one of the cameras.
And the chats.
Good to go.
Look at the chats.
Yeah. So if you want to grab the microphone, you can bring it over to that side of the table, and then I'm just going to have you move the chair over to the left a little bit there. Bring the microphone with you, and I'm going to switch the camera view here, and we will get the camera switched around. Sorry for the rockiness of the camera view here, guys. So that is my normal setup now. So this is going to look very similar to what my normal setup is. And let's go through the chats here. Let me grab my mouse so we can scoot back a little bit. Okay, in the chat, guys, we've got Randy Hill was the first one. Good morning, Randy. We got Demon Dog Chris, Ed from Roll to Win. We have Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps. By the way, Jeff is going to be going live either right now or when we get done here. His internet went down, so I hope that gets fixed for you, Jeff. And then also coming up after our show sometime is going to be John from Seattle. Instead of doing Friday night fights, they're going to do Saturday night morning fights. And it's going to be, I believe, Gail Lennar and Corey, Sith Lord Espy, is going to be there. And they're actually going to do an actual rollout on John's table.
Rumor has it that Corey has a monkey on his back that he's trying to get rid of. So let's see what happens.
Corey has a monkey for those of you who know him. But we have OMC Craps, Roger, and we have SJ. Good morning. We have Ben from Wisco 330 Inside, replay fan. Scooting down here a little bit. Clay is here. Good morning, Clay. And that looks like pretty much everybody. As far as chats goes, Ed says there's a difference about being in sync and flying close together. Flying tight together can be overhyped, so they clank off each other at other times. And that's kind of what I covered a little bit there. And Alfredo actually talks a lot about that also. And there's other people that I've heard, and names are escaping me, about how they try to get that finger length in between the dice and that. We have DJ Protein that I'm coaching. I'm guessing that's Coach Joe's son,
Yes.
DJ, and I met him in June. By the way, let's give thanks to DJ, who is a member of our military services. Thank you for protecting us and doing what it takes and giving up your time to make our time easier for us. Thank you very much, DJ. SJ, Cashier's Cage, and Sarge, and John, and Bird Dog, and everybody's gonna could help with the chopper toss. That is one thing I'm not very good at. I would love to learn eventually how to do the chopper. That would be awesome.
So I've been watching Cashier Cage's chopper toss and even Sarge. I don't know how they do it, but he did say one thing. He spent 3 years working on it, so
Sure.
I've been working like 1 week on it. So give me time, buddy.
Sure. And with Jeff, no problem for the mention. It's all about the community here, guys. It's not about me or Jeff or Coach Joe or DJ or Ed from Roll the Wind. It's about the community, guys. This is Transparency 101 here. We're trying to promote the community, and we all should be working together. And Coach Joe's son is here, is what DJ says.
Yes.
So, okay, let's, I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to put a target on the end here. And you have your barrel dice, right?
I do, yes.
Okay. And our target right here, guys, is it's about 3.5, 4 inches away from the table, and it's just on the straight part of the table. Show me what you're talking about, how you're working on your accuracy. We're putting them on the spot here, guys. Okay, that was pretty decent. Okay, good.
Just a little short.
And that's fine. Good. Okay.
All right.
Now you hit the target 2 out of the 4. Okay. Why do you feel that it's important to hit this target? Give me your explanation. Why you feel that you need to do that?
It leads towards a question that I have to the community.
Go ahead.
Let me throw it out. They can
Okay.
type in answers while I give my answer.
Sure, sure.
All right. So the question that I have for everybody is, what is the single biggest thing you've learned about your dice throw that took your game to the next level? Okay.
Okay.
And for me, my answer is repeatable energy.
Okay.
If I can keep dropping the dice on a specific spot with the same energy, they should not only land at the same spot, but finish in the same spot all the time. I don't want the dice to land and scatter, 2 feet to the left one time and then die at the wall right there. I want repeatable energy.
Okay.
So that's
Why is that important to you?
I feel like dice are already randomized enough.
Okay.
But if I can keep the energy the same, they'll end up rolling over one at a time the same for each dice.
Okay. And that's kind of touching on the subject here, guys.
Let me go to the camera over here.
Sure, sure. Camera here.
Oh. Hold on, where? Oh, yeah. So if the dice land,
You want to do that one? Let's switch over. You can
let me do the
skip through here.
the other.
So everybody knows, my basement here, where the table is at, is very tight spaces around the table. So go ahead and explain what you're talking about.
So if they both land and they have the same energy, they'll end up spinning the same, whatever that number of turns is.
Sure.
But if one dice has more energy,
Okay.
it will spin a different number of revolutions than the other.
Sure.
And I'm trying to minimize that. I don't mind if the dice spins 1 time extra. Because no matter what I do with the hardware set, I can't get a 7.
Sure.
But if they spin 2 times or more,
Certainly with that comment, but go ahead.
better, yeah.
Sure,
But
sure.
nonetheless, that's the repeatable energy that I'm looking for. But if they land and this dice rolls 20 times and this one rolls, 5,
Sure.
who knows what's going to happen? So I'm just trying to narrow down my chances of success.
Sure. Okay.
That's what I'm going for.
Sure. Let's go back to this other view here, if you want to come back around the table. And just for shits and giggles, we're going to move the target around here a little bit.
All right.
And, guys, when you're practicing, you obviously want to have your perfect landing zone, if you will. And for me, my landing zone is going to be about that 2 to 3 inch mark away from the back wall. If you use with minimal energy, what's going to happen is the dice are going to come up and gently lay down, okay? If you have too much energy, they're going to fly all over. And when you see my shooting, that happens occasionally. Every shot's not going to be perfect, but our goal is to try to maximize how close they are all the time. But there's going to be times where the chips are in the way. So for example, when we go to Green Bay, that pass line is going to be right here. We don't have a lot of room sometimes for people with chips. And people in Green Bay put chips on the pass line, trust me. They don't play the don't pass up there, they play the pass line, and everybody has one, and they're always in the way. So I always have to put my roll out a little bit, because it always seems like some idiot, pardon my French, some idiot puts their chips right here, right in front of my landing zone, and I have a mental block that if I have to throw over those chips, it actually throws my throw off a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, so what I've learned is I put my throw out a little bit further. So let's see if we can try that.
All right, let's
What I
see.
did with that, Joe, now is I'll move my hand out to the don't pass on my table, okay? When you get to Green Bay, you're actually gonna be just touching that field,
Okay.
okay? So that kind of gives you an idea of what you'll be throwing. Okay.
They had a lot of bounce there.
They do, but my table is bouncy. Like I said, here's the dice again. Sorry.
That's right. Corey doesn't let me touch the stick at his place. Don't have enough experience yet.
We're gonna have to coach him. With
He makes me polish all the poker chips first, and then as soon as I have them all finished,
I'll
then
give you a poker chip story about Corey, but we're gonna do that off camera. That's really nice. Again, my table's a little bit bouncy, so maybe minimize the energy just a little bit by reducing the speed of your throw. Try that once and see what happens.
and this is part of the journey, learning that energy. By the way, the green belt also did mention a drill about energy. You said stand at stick right 3 and throw the dice to the table, which is like, a foot away.
And that's hard.
And you work your way, actually, that one's harder. If I go to stick right 2 or stick right 1, it's only like 5 feet away. I can drop with lower energy. Now I move on the other side of the stick guy, and I see where you're going, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
So it's a work in progress.
Drill from George from CY. So
It's really interesting drill, eye-opening. So like one dice bounces way more than the other. That's
Sure.
not the repeatable energy for both dice that I'm looking for.
Sure.
Did I too hard?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
So I just kind of want to give a little bit of example for people, but also to explain that kind of theory, if you will. What I would like to do, Joe, here a little bit is let's just throw the dice a little bit. I'm going to get Crapsee started.
All right.
Okay. And we'll do, I don't know, it's 11:38. Let's do about 20 to 30 minutes of throwing, and we're going to probably wrap up the live stream at that time then. Let me get Crapsee started here and kick me up because I started about 40 minutes ago. So we're going to reconnect.
Leave any comments on things that people have learned that they can share with myself.
So we've got Alfredo. Welcome, Alfredo. You are in Seattle. I've been watching your shorts, and Seattle, both Las Vegas with Uncle Mel and Seattle last night with John, I heard is treating you very, very, very good. Alfredo says Corey's not allowed to touch our chips either. Or your Coach Joe's not. Okay, Corey and I made a moolah last night. You guys, I saw your shorts. Guys, make sure you check out Texas Crap Shooters channel. He did a whole bunch of updates from Las Vegas with Uncle Mel. I heard he was invited also to shoot with Brian. I don't know if he did that from Hawaii Crap Shooters. He is also in Seattle last night. I heard through the grapevine that John had a monster roll. So I'm sure, and I know this for sure, we're going to see some of the results on Monday on John's show talking about the weekend, hopefully. So that way we can kind of get updated on that. So anyhow, let's go with Crapsee here, guys. Get your bets in for anybody that is playing. I don't know if anybody's listed on here. I'm going to bet on Coach Joe here. I'm going to go with a $10 pass line, and I'm just going to throw a $2 craps checkout. And I'm going to call this all bets set here. And let's go. And you can use my stick if you need to, Joe. Okay. If you want to announce the dice result, and I'll enter that in Crapsee.
All right, we have a 4, 5.
If you push it over to the 0, it'll show up right on camera. So we have a 4-5 Big Mac Hard 9, Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps. Okay, I'm going to go with Coach Joe. I'm going to assume that he knows what he's doing throwing the dice here. So I'm going to place a 66 inside bet, not including the point. So that's going to be 15 on the 5. It's going to be 18 on the 6 and 8. I'm going to throw $10 on the 10 and 4. And I'm going to call that all bets set. Are you using a certain dice set here, Coach Joe?
I always use the 4, 5, 4, 5.
Okay, why is that?
Only because I want to know what my dice do. And as soon as I can throw that repeatable shot,
Okay.
then I'll start adjusting the dice. So what I'm really
What's so special about the 4-5-4-5 that makes you know what it's doing? Because I've covered this before on my channel.
So I'm looking to see if I can get a 1 or a 6 on one of the dice.
You are looking for that, okay?
That's what I'm going for.
So you're looking for one die off axis.
Yes.
So if you guys look at the 4-5-4-5 dice set, the axis point on the left side is going to be the 1, on the right side is going to be the 6, and that's the same for both dice. So if he sees a 1 or a 6, he'll know that one or both of the dice went off axis. Okay? And I see you're using a 3-finger par grip.
Yes.
Okay? Sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
It's fine. Here we go. Terrible.
Okay? Let's see a result there. I'm going to move the camera a little bit because you're going up a little bit closer than what I normally do. So, not a problem, replay fan. What we got for dice results?
6-5.
6-5. Mid-Mo Yo. Chiro shining from above. That's going to be our new dice call. Chiro shining from above. Best wishes to his daughter and his wife next weekend when they have his service. I know a few people are going to be going down to Kansas City on Friday. I believe John and Justice Jen and a few other people meeting at the Harrah's in Kansas City. And then they're on Saturday morning be driving, I believe, a 2.5, 3-hour drive over to Chiro's memorial service. And I think they're going to try to do a live stream from there. So I'm actually unfortunate not be able to go, but fortunate enough to hopefully be able to watch that. So, okay, if you want to continue on.
Here we go. 5-4.
So we have another Big Mac. There's a repeatable number here, guys. 5-4, Big Mac Hard 9. So that is our point. And we are going to stick with that $10 pass line bet. We're going to go back with our $2 craps check. I'm going to give you guys just a few seconds here to get your bets in. All players are bets in. Awesome. And dice out.
All right, I'm going to throw another question out for the team, for the community. You're trying to get new dice calls for different people.
Yes.
And I believe that there's a dice call that you could throw for me.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask Demon Dog, Arnell, Corey, my son, what result do I throw more than anybody else?
Okay, let's see if Chris is still here. Good morning, Danny. Puck off.
Here we go, dice out. 3-1. Who is that?
We have the 3-1, the Big Joe from Craps Master Journey. So, or if Jeff was here, he'd say Big Joe from Kokomo, Wisconsin. So 3-1-4, and that's gonna be our new point. We're gonna take that $10 down. We're gonna put that $10 on the 9, and we're still looking for an inside hit so we can do a 22 pressure on our bets. So all bets set and dice out. And Demon Dog says the 7, and he laughs out loud. So we have a 7.
He is correct.
So,
however, there's one that I did more than the 7, Chris.
Okay. I was going to say, because we already have 1-7 call already, and that would be Nemo. And that'd be the 5-2 Bruce.
Those died. 5-1.
So we have the 5-1, the KitchenAid mixer, Chris from Sideshow Gamble. And guys, if you want to use my dice calls on your channels, please do so. It's the whole idea behind it is to get notoriety and to get some recognition to the individuals that are out in the community, either as a content creator or as a supporter of the craps community. And that's why we have the 325 Justice for Justice Jen. So we had a 5-1 KitchenAid mixer. We're going to do a 22 inside pressure.
So the answer to my question is I threw the dice off the table more than anybody else for the entire day.
Okay.
So if you throw the dice off the table, I'm thinking that's probably a Coach Joe shot.
Okay.
So just throwing it out there.
Okay. So you want to have the dice off the table call, which I don't do often on my table.
Right.
What do you suggest that to be?
I don't know. I'm just like, all I can say is when Arnell, Corey were at the Joliet Casino, I'm throwing from the back of the table one time. I threw a lot of sevens, but I threw more dice that they both bounced off the table.
Okay.
Because I'm not even in the green belt. My landing zone is wrong.
Now, I was at Joliet, like I said, a couple weeks ago. There is a spot on that 14-foot table that they open up first. And if you're shooting from the right side, I noticed that there's a spot about 6 to 8 inches out that was like a trampoline. And if you threw it in that area, it went off the table every single time. So if you either pull it back a little bit and let them roll in, or you get it closer to the wall, it was actually a lot better. So I saw so many people doing that.
And I had no accuracy with my distance, so
Okay.
I had a lot of problems.
So Chris's suggestion on that dice call would be take a lap with Coach Joe.
And we have a 6-4.
Okay, we have a 6-4. That would be Waylon's best friend weighing it in, Daddy Joe. So I'm not using KPI today, guys. We're just using Crapsee. I know the KPI is up on the screen, so I apologize for the extra noise that's on the screen here. But this is my normal throwing screen, so that's why we're doing that. So that, if you throw the dice off, community, we're going to call that Take a Lap with Coach Joe.
Here we go. They crossed. 6-3.
So we have a 6-3 center field 9. And I was a dum-dum here because I'm worried about talking, and I didn't press my last bet up. So we're going to reduce our bets now down. We have $66 brought back to the rack. We're going to go to 44 inside. This is the strategy that I will more than likely be using on my known shooters up in Green Bay today. This is a skill 66. So we have 66 brought back. We have 54 on the table. So we're into profit for $11 right now.
All right. And I know Corey's happy because I got my 2 box number hits, so he's regressed
That's
down.
what I'm looking for as well. So
And my son, who plays the field, doesn't bet on me because I don't hit the field enough for his liking.
see, I'm a hot or miss with the field. Some days I hit all field numbers, and other days I hit none.
Those dice were split apart, 6-4.
Okay, so we have another 6-4-10. Waylon's best friend weighing it in. We're going to change it. Big Ben. So we're going to go back, and I should have, guys, I screwed up. I should have had $10 on that 10. That would have been a press there for me. I would have pressed up to 15. So we're going to put $10 on the table. 66 brought back to the rack. 64 on the table currently. All that set.
Here we go. We got to try and keep them together. Keeping your focus is really hard on 6-3.
6-3, another center field 9. Guys, are you starting to see some of the repeatability here? And John, you're going to hate it, but you see some of the trend throws here, some of the stuff that we're seeing that repeat time and time again. Let's go to $15 on that 5 and 9. Let's see if we can increase our profit a little bit. $80 brought back, 74 on the table.
So I'm getting a 6 to flip over, which is what my goal is to get a 1 or a 6, and I've had a lot of 6s.
Sure.
Those are together. 4-2.
4-2, 2x4. So that'd be a 6. We're going to make the 6 and 8 look like $18 here. So that's adding 1 unit to each of them. Guys, you don't know how easy it is to produce a show where somebody else is doing the work and I'm actually enjoying this. So we've got $94 brought back, 86 on the table. Starting now, we're going to start increasing our bets and making a little bit more money, bring it back to the rack.
5-1.
So we're back on that 5-1-6. Whoops. 1 second here, guys. I messed up on Crapsee. We got all bets set. We got a 5-1-6. Hopefully, I don't have too many people playing right now. But 5-1-6, we're going to make that 6 look like $30. So we're going to put $12 onto it. So we're going to take a little bit back to the rack, and we're going to put a little bit on the table. So we have that up to 6. Now, depending on what my win goal for the day is, guys, I'm looking at sessions when I go to Green Bay. And I'm looking at making about $80 to $85, maybe $100 on a session. And if I can get a couple more bets pressed up here, I would consider turning my bets off and consider that a win, because everything that's on the table is profit right now. So we are $17 in a profit. So if I get 2 or 3 more wins, that'll get me hopefully closer to that $85 goal, so I can turn the bets off and wait for another shooter. And I would call that a session.
And I'm going to throw a shout out to Arnell, because he loves to play the 6s and the 8s, and I'm pounding them for him right now.
There you go.
That was short. 5, or it's a 4-1.
4-1, a horse and buggy. So 4-1-5. That's going to allow us to press that 5 and 9 up to $25. So currently we have $25 on the 5 and 9. We've got 30 on the 6. We have 8 at 18 to 10 at 10. So we have 136 brought back to rack, 118 on the table, and this is where the strategy will hopefully start taking off now.
All right, here we go. They died. Another 4-1.
So we have a 4-1, another horse and buggy. And by the way, guys, I'm not going to put pressure on Coach Joe here, but that was roll number 13 for this dice throw. It's not a bad shot so far. Hopefully it continues. Hopefully we have a monster to go off of. So we got a 5. We're going to make that 5 look like $35.
So I'm under a lot of pressure because Demon Dog knows I throw a lot of 7s. So one time, buddy, one time I can do it.
This is all on video, guys. It's recorded, so you will have proof, Joe.
Right. Dice split. Let me pick it up again. Those were together. 6.
Now, did you notice how the dice rolled to the left side? Why did that happen?
They were not level when they landed.
So which way were they crooked?
So I had it was pitched away. It was pitched up. So
okay, so that means your right side was actually higher than the left side, just slightly.
Just slightly.
And see, guys, if you minimize the energy, that's going to help minimize that action as well. So 6 to 8, we're going to press that 8 up to $30. So sorry about the side note, sorry about putting you on the spot there. But remember, if the dice go one direction, that means that your wrist is crooked the opposite direction. If they would have went right, you would have been twisted to the left a little bit. And that's just one of a couple different things, but that's usually the number one reason.
So one of the things I've learned out there, and even Cashier Cage says it, you learn through pain. You'll learn more by doing it wrong than doing it right.
Sure.
So this is an excellent example.
And DJ Protein is actually Coach Joe's son. Kind of ironic how we have Coach Joe and we have DJ Protein, but he says no field per usual.
My bad. Here we go. Wrong dice set. Those were crooked. 2-2.
So we have a 2-2, and this is called the Ian Double Deuce. I know Rich from Don and Joliet wanted me to make it a dice call out for him, but we did a poll one day on my show, and everybody wanted me to go with Ian. So Ian won out, so I apologize, Rich. But we have a 2-2, hard forward, the Ian Double Deuce. That is our point, so we're going to be doing a new come out here.
So Rich is okay with that because he's been playing some of the field. He's got those hardways already pressed up, so he's making money.
So we're going to have to call him Hardway Rich.
Hardway Rich.
Hardway Rich. I've seen that in action. He has quite the pressing system. I think he had, when I was down there, $100 on a couple of the hardways. He got them built up to that far. So that was pretty amazing. When we get to Green Bay, I don't think you can go above 25 is the max on the hardways they'll let you do.
Here we go. New point. Those were together better. 5-1.
So we have a 5-1 mixer, KitchenAid mixer.
So let me throw a question out there. How much rotation should I have on the dice?
Okay.
And now it's a vague question from like, say, stick left 1 all the way to the end of the table, but what's my motivation? Where should I be leaning towards?
Okay. Is that a question you want me to answer? Because I have some theories.
I'll let you throw something out, and I'll let the chat throw something out as well.
I know with my throw, with the amount of energy that I have in the dice, I try to minimize my rotation. There is a rotation to it, but it's not a very fast rotation, okay? As you go further back on the table, so with you throwing at 14 feet, you're going to have more of a rotation than I would throwing from, say, 8 or 9 feet away, okay? So my dice will not rotate as much. Now, there are some shots that you have to have more of a backwards rotation in order to kill it at the end of the table. Okay, so that's my answer.
Okay, great. All right, here we go. And 6-6.
So we have a 6-6. We have OMC craps, all the dots and all the spots, midnight.
So if I'm not
welcome,
mistaken,
Roger.
I want to say that was probably the tall. I know you're not.
I honestly am not keeping track at all because nobody is playing the ATS here, but we could be making money. Ed says as little as will keep them in the same revolutions or revs. He says less is better, and I agree with that. I really do agree with that, with the rotations of the dice. What is your answer, Coach Joe?
I want to say fewer is better.
Okay.
But from the back of the table, I've noticed more revolutions is better, but not like 20 revolutions of the dice.
Yeah, you don't want to have it hyperspeed.
Yeah,
sure.
no hyperspeed. But from the back of the table, I do notice that if I could drop it 2 inches from the back of the table with a hint of backspin, it will hit those pyramids and go down and kill it. But
Okay.
stick left 1, I try to have not more than 2 revolutions of the dice.
Okay, sounds good.
Here we go.
We got all bets set.
Five, 4.
We have another Big Mac hard 9, 5-4. So that's going to allow us to press that 9 up to $35 now. And we're actually making some decent money off of Coach Joe. And decent for me may be different for you guys. But I have got $237 brought back to the rack. We have $150 on the table. So we're in the profit, almost $100. So if you get one more throw here, I would probably be turning my bets off so I have my session profit.
Four, 2.
We have a 4-2, another 2x4. And we've got DJ, Coach Sun's son responded in the chat. And by the way, that was the point. And for some reason, I had a place bet on there plus the pass line. So we've actually made a profit off there, and I'm definitely over the $100 mark now. So we're going to stick with that $10 pass line. We have a $2 craps check. And DJ says that slower revolutions are better for, more importantly, you want the dice to lay flush or flat on the table. Whatever you can do to kill the energy when the dice hit the table. I agree. And Demon Dog says there was your field, Coach Joe, that 12. And that pays double on this table. So unfortunately, I did not have a bet on that. We'll go all bets set here. And this is a come out roll.
My son likes to play the field and then parlay it. So
Okay.
I'll hit a field, but I'll never get his parlay.
Sucks to be him.
It does. He's lost a lot of money because of me. He'll learn. And a 3, 4.
7 ouch. So we had a nice roll here, guys. We had a roll of 20 rolls long. Now, if you could do this for me in Green Bay, that would be awesome, guys, because I made a profit of, it says $290 on the Crapsee, but I think it was $140 that I actually made off of that roll. So I'd be happy. I would be happy with that. But guys, is there any other questions in the chat? Otherwise, if not, we're going to probably wrap this session up. Coach Joe has a question here, I think. So let's see what he has. But throw the questions in the chat. Demon Dog says, good roll, Coach Joe. I agree 100% on that.
We go over there.
Sure. What are we looking at? Which view should I put on there?
Back to the chair.
Okay, let's put our camera over here again, guys. Sorry for the quick motion here. Let's adjust the camera. And the behind the scenes manipulations of things. Let's bring the microphone over here so we can hear what we're talking about. Okay.
So
I've got.
I'd like to thank all of you YouTubers out there providing community content for craps. We need to grow this community. And I watch a lot of different channels. I'm learning a lot from everyone.
Okay.
And I want to thank you for being the first channel I went to. And I'm going to present you with a Coach Joe subscribe 10 minutes with Coach Joe t-shirt.
That is awesome.
And I appreciate all the work you're doing. I really enjoyed very much. Here you go.
Thank you very much. John, eat this, buddy. I have a computer programming shirt now. And I actually do have some slight computer programming skills. I used to teach myself on BASIC, on learning how to do, not BASIC,
VBA?
Visual Basic.
Yeah, Visual Basic
Administration.
VB, yep.
Yeah, so I have some, and I was self-taught. And I'll tell you what, to teach yourself the principles of computer programming on your own is extremely difficult. I spent many hours knowing what I wanted to do, but how in the hell do you do it? But
if I could add one more comment for the content creators who are trying to teach how to do a something. Mm-hmm. If I try to teach you Spanish,
okay,
I cannot teach you all 2,000 words in a session. Mm-hmm. And this is the problem with teaching. I try to teach everything at once. You don't know anything. Mm-hmm. Teach one thing, throw the dice.
And
teach a second thing, throw the dice. Yeah. And build on it over videos instead of trying to say everything at once.
And that's kind of where this level up program has gone, is it broke it down to the simple and stupid. We use the KISS principle, if you will.
Keep it simple.
And we work on it step by step by step. And that's why my journey right now has 200 level up episodes already. And I'm only at brown belt. I'm not, I put a color belt associated to it so you can kind of know where your progress is. When I did martial arts, I'm a 3rd degree black belt in combat hapkido, okay? And I was taught that when I got to black belt, everybody think that's like the apex stuff. Oh my God, you don't know nothing at the black belt, okay? And that's the same thing with dice throwing, guys. I don't know shit, okay? But I'm learning, and more practice and consistent practice is hopefully gonna help me become a better thrower. In fact, when I was in Joliet, I was a good thrower, but I only threw like 5 or 6 times the entire week. Because we had people like Alfredo and we had people like Corey and Rich and Giuseppe who were throwing monster rolls. Mm-hmm. I just passed the dice. I didn't need to shoot, But anyhow, hey guys, thanks for joining along. This is Coach Joe, 10 minutes with Coach Joe. Check out his YouTube channel. After the end here, I will put a link to his channel in the description of this video. But hey, my name is Joe. This is my Craps Master dice shooting journey. Let's make it yours too. Have a great day, everyone, and be safe.